On that discussion, and you opened a number of doors there that we will try to go through this evening. I'm going to start with postgraduates, since they're right up there in more ways than one. And something's brought to my attention recently, which I found quite striking, because I love the idea of the Alberta leading the world with its post-secondary system. I would be the happiest person in this province if 20 years from now, U of C and U of A and U of L, and to pick three examples, and Athabasca University, were all ranked and used in this spoken of in the same breath as Cambridge or Harvard or Stanford, or to pick public examples, any number of them. We want to get there. One way we want to do that is through, in the case of especially the U of A and U of C, postgraduate and postdoctoral fellowships. Now, the figures that were given to me, and I think the minister might have these same ones, is that the University of Alberta provides postdoctoral positions for 442 postdocs, and in Calgary 340. That means the U of A ranks just over half the level of McGill, basically a quarter of the level of Toronto, well behind UBC, about half the level of the University of Montreal, and Calgary, respectively, even less than that. If we're going to be a top university in the world, first of all, we've got to be top in Canada. We're not even close when it comes to postdoctoral fellowships. So what in this budget? Well, what initiatives? What are you doing, Mr. Minister, to support an increase in the capacity of our graduate universities to fund postdoctoral fellowships?
Well, thank you very much. And we too believe that increasing the number of grad students in our system is critically important to the long-term success. So, and out of the grad students will come our postdoctoral fellowships, our postdoctoral students that can work within the research. We're making we have made some investments. I believe it's around 4.7% increase in applications in graduate schools right now. It's continuing to grow. We're working with our three residential universities and Athabasca to try to grow that. Some of the newer programs, for example, is a new degree in architecture available through Athabasca University that was just announced very recently. Some really unique opportunities in Alberta. This particular program will also allow architects coming in from other parts of the world to upgrade their skills right here online using the talented folks at Athabasca so that they can meet the needs of architecture in Alberta. So some wonderful opportunities. But I met with the postdoctoral students, and they do have a number of issues, and I'm sensitive to those. I met with them at the University of Alberta, and I know when I talked to them, they talked about numbers roughly 500, and you've mentioned 442 today, and I think that's probably pretty accurate. And we need to continue to work to increase our postdoctoral, and a part of that's going to be the partnership and relationship with Alberta Innovates. We're very unique in this part of the world in that Alberta Innovates and our post-secondaries rest in one ministry, and they work together. And as we see opportunities for partnership, for relationship, because as important as it is having postdoctoral students at the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary, I want to see postdoctoral students working in industry, creating wealth in Alberta, creating jobs in Alberta. We need to have that. We need to work towards that. So I'm not going to measure postdocs only at the level of what they work in the universities that we have. We want to increase that. We want to see our postdocs doing that research. But we also want to see them in partnership with Alberta Innovates, in partnership with the private sector and corporate companies that are coming to Alberta, that are in Alberta, continuing to provide that experience in places like the Prion Institute, in places like Alberta Genome, places where it's not necessarily at a university, but this is places where our postdocs and our graduate students can continue to get both valuable experience, work with world-class researchers, and have opportunities. So I agree. I think it's important that we continue to grow that piece, and it'll be in partnership. One of the examples, and I'm sure it'll come up a little later, is in the area of AFMR. As we transition the teaching positions away from AFMR and move them into the base budgets of the universities, this will free up real dollars for programs for doing research, which in turn will create positions for postdocs and graduate students. So once again, this is a real commitment to, and I'm sure we'll talk some more about this in a little while, but this is a real commitment to try to create that research capacity in this province. And so when we get a chance to talk a little more about that, we can maybe explore how that may be beneficial as well. So there's a lot of good things that are happening from the side of postdocs across the province, and I'm sure that as we continue to try to build capacity and create opportunity in the private sector, in Alberta Innovates, and in our university, and don't forget, we're starting to see more research being done at our college and technical institutes as well. They're very excited about some real research opportunities in those locations as well, and this should create opportunities as well for some of our graduate and postdoc students.
Okay, and don't take this the wrong way, Mr. Minister, but I'm very tempted to say talk is cheap. You know, the rubber's got to hit the road at some point here. And you spoke in your last comments about, I won't try to repeat what you were saying, but essentially the rise of Alberta Innovates and transfers of funding which are going to free up dollars within, I guess, within the universities to support postdoc funding. If you could, it sounded like there's actually some planning going on around that. Some numbers you may have over the next few years as Alberta Innovates' financial situation settles down. If you have numbers, perhaps you could follow up after the debate about. I don't need them now. I don't even expect them now. But if you can say, well, yes, in 2, 3, 5 years, we expect this number of increase per year in postdoc fellowships, that would be very helpful.